Hello everybody, welcome to the Scarlet Nexus demo. This is the Warden, and I'm going to give a little quick review of my feelings and how I enjoyed the game overall. This demo is pretty nice. It has two parts, the female's version and the guy's version, and this game comes out in about 2 days, so I'm pretty hyped. I'm ready to play, but I wanted to get this out before it came out. And I'm also doing this voiceover after I've recorded, so bear with me. This is still kind of new to me, but here we go. The overall premise of the game is that there are two groups of people. They have psychic powers or telepathic powers, and they're able to control and manipulate and create things based on the physical world. So like they can control fire, or they can move objects, or they can duplicate things, all kinds of really neat stuff. And so this is the tutorial section, and I played this a couple of times, so I'm really familiar already with kind of what to do. And excuse me if I go a little fast paced. I won't be doing too much talking, but I will bring up some things that I remember while I was playing it as I go along. For starters, I'm a combat junkie. I really enjoy really good combat, so I fell in love with this game the first time I saw it. Once I finally put my hands on it though, I realized that it's not like Devil May Cry or, a super fast hack and slash like that, in the sense that it has a system and you kind of have to respect it. And then once you learn how to operate within the system, it feels a bit more fluid. At first it might feel choppy. Like Yuito, he uses a sword and the other young lady uses like daggers. Now, initially, the girl that used the daggers seemed a lot more faster paced to me. Yuito does seem slower, but once you start getting familiar with the combat and the techniques, it kind of flows much more quickly. And I really enjoy that. I like the fact that I had to respect it for what it was, but then I could still, once I have taken the time to learn it, can be freeform in my own style. It was really nice. And so you can pretty much throw, with Yuito, you can pretty much throw anything in the game. Cinder blocks, cars, and dare I say other enemies, as you progress through the game further on. But for the most part, I really enjoy the system. It's not open world like something like Breath of the Wild or anything of that nature. It's definitely more so instance based, so it's linear in that there's a set area you can go. But I do feel like the maps are fairly expansive enough. I mean, they're not like over the top, but they're enough for you to kind of get a feel for the area and kind of immerse yourself in, whatever landscape you're in. It's beautiful. They did a really good job. I'm not going to be talking too much about story. You don't get a whole lot of that. And even from playing the demo, there wasn't a whole lot to go on with what they were talking about, so you shouldn't really have to worry about spoilers too much here. However, if you feel like that's something that I may say may concern you, you can always wait till the game comes out and see for yourself. Something I also remembered as you get beyond the tutorial, this game operates a lot on quick time events as well, and you'll see that as I get a little bit further in. And basically that's just, pressing certain buttons that are required at a certain time to do different things for people who don't know what a QuickTime event is or a QTE.
仕切り直した。よし。
So now we'll get into the actual scenario of the demo. So you're very detail oriented, very nice, very pristine looking. I mean, it's very easy to get lost in this world. And so the menu, I don't remember if I went through the menu expansively this time, but these are some of the characters that you get to play, that play with you. You only get to play with one of the two characters, the guy or the female, from what I've gathered, but you can swap around the characters. I'm still trying to understand the aspect of switching the characters. I do know that based on who's in your party at the time, certain passive effects will happen directly to the character, but you can still utilize the abilities of all four of the characters on the team. It's just that the things that happen with the two party members that are with you are more active, so to speak, than the people who are on the back line. When I'm going through each of the menus, I was impressed with the menus, actually. I was very excited and happy to see that there were so many menus as far as, your basic stuff, your equipment, your items, the upgrade system, which is known as the brain map. They do have the storyboard and the library, which I imagine is like the encyclopedia for how to play the game. But just, it has a real, the most impressive thing or most impactful thing to me was the brain map and how you learn your skills, because it's, kind of like any game that you played. Maybe people have played Final Fantasy X, where it's like an entire sphere grid and you have skills and you can choose which ones you go to over time. You don't have to pick them all at the same time, but there is to some degree an order where you have to learn certain things before you can learn others. I was surprised to see customization in this game in the effect of items that you can wear, like the tail and the feathers and things. It's just a small thing to add to your character to give them individuality. I didn't know they had gone that far, but I'm hoping to see more of that when that full game comes out, because that would be really cool. I don't think it has any statistical value or anything like that. It doesn't change how strong you are, or it doesn't change like how good you are at the game or anything like that. It's just aesthetic. And this is the brain map. Like I said, even for the demo, I was like, wow, there's still a lot of stuff that we can, venture out and explore and check out. And it upgrades you in many ways as far as like your overall combat style, what passive or active abilities you have over time. And I think that they also incorporated a friendship kind of system where the other characters, even though you don't get to play them, the more you play with them, or maybe it's the more they're in your party, I'm not sure exactly, they will level up and they are more active, so to speak, when they're playing, when you're with them in the party. Like I said, you can only check out so much as you're going through the demo, but I still am very hopeful and very excited, because I look forward to what you can do outside of the combat areas and how it all incorporates into itself with each character. So I just did a little bit of exploring and I was reading what they all do, and some of them will give you extra types of attacks, whether it be aerial or anything like that. So there was aerial dash, there's combos that change based on what, I guess you can call them, brain node you unlock. Some are a bit more passive, like health or, skills and things of that nature, or like how much your teammates can help you. So it's really neat. I like it. I'm looking forward to dipping my feet into just how expansive the brain map is. I do remember being a little overwhelmed at the beginning of the game with all the grids and the bars at the bottom, and I'll get into those in a minute.
成上隊長、質問よろしいでしょうか。
ユイト、そんなかしこまらなくてもいい。海抜軍は絆を重視するため、名前で呼び合う慣例がある。みんな見た目と年齢が釣り合ってないしな。階級だってまあ給料の計算のためについてるようなもんだ。
海抜軍が重視するのは強さだけだって覚えておきゃいいのさ。
ざっくり言えばそういうことだ。で、質問ってのは？
はい。まだ渡るが到着してないようですけど。
渡るは我が隊のオペレーターだ。本部から指示をくれる。
俺の超能力なら半径500キロ程度を目安にシステムの補助なしでテレパシーを送れるってわけ。とはいえ負担が大きいんでグループに入ってもらうぞ。パーソナルポートを開放してくれ。
各班の代表はナギ、ユイト、ツグミとする。それぞれ渡るの誘導を受けて所定のゴールまで向かえ。途中の会議は全て討伐を試みろ。叶わないと判断した場合、逃走を許可するが、
So
ゴールには
others
たどり着けよ。
are the creatures that we are fighting against. They're the abnormal looking
また後でな。
conglomeration of random pieces and parts. So that's like a communication system they have in place, and I don't know if based on that it will affect your friendship ratings with people, or if it's just a way to keep up with the story and what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, and so this is talking about what skills you can use actively with your party. The main character can connect to each of the people and borrow their abilities. And of course, the game does a good job of making sure that everyone in your party is valuable. So these particular others or monsters are weak to fire moves, and one of the characters on your team has fire, so you borrow her ability and you can use it within your basic attacks and things of that nature. And it's for a set period of time. Like I said, with all the gauges at the bottom, it was a little confusing at first to figure out where everything was and what it all stood for. But it's pretty quick. It's pretty easy to catch on to for the most part. The multicolored circles on the right side, the blue, red, green, and the yellow, are each of the characters' abilities, and then the timer, as you can see, the red bar is actually going down. It's about to start refilling in a minute. When you use the full ability, or you can cancel it early, it starts to recharge. But those are the abilities and how long you can use them, and then it correlates with the color correlates with the character. Now, the left side, far left side, are your consumable items. I don't really use them much until, I think like after I got more comfortable with the game in general. But it's basic HP healing, mana, MP, whatever. The secondary bar is, I forget what it's called here. But in the middle of the screen at the bottom, of course, you got your health bar, which is the red pulsating thing, but there are two others next to it. Those are the two other teammates that are on your team. And then the purple bar above it that looks kind of like an audio bar or equalizer is your psychic power and how much of that you have. And so the general gist, you beat up the monster. You can beat them up completely until they're defeated, or you break their what looks like a guard gauge. It's kind of hard to see with the enemies, with everything that's going on. But once you break that guard gauge, then you get your quick time event. And basically, it looks like you're tearing apart their core, or like this, you're taking it off of them to destroy them so that they can't regenerate or something like that. That would be my assumption. And I think that's the general premise of the game, because you do that almost everywhere. Like I said, this game, you got quick time events everywhere, and based on how you fight and who you're using, whose psychic powers you're using, it looks like it can give you different quick time events, just as something a little flashy to add to the game's flair overall. But I thoroughly enjoyed this demo and learning about the different mechanics of the game and understanding how everything works and ties together. And that's just explaining how Yuito can throw items. Certain items can be, they activate another QuickTime event, and you can, if you do the QuickTime event correctly or input the right buttons or sequence of whatever it needs, then you can attack them differently and probably do more damage than usual. I don't know if I use it here or not, but at some point I know I do. There you go. Now this brain drive effect, I only activated it a few times while I was playing. I'm not entirely sure how it works because I couldn't control it every time, so I couldn't test it out and flush out the system. But apparently you're able to do things faster, like use your psychic abilities more quickly. I guess it gives the game a faster flow and things kind of connect more easily. I didn't really get it, but basically I think that there's a gauge that fills passively while you're fighting, and then when it activates, I guess it's kind of like doing well in the game for so long, and then your psychic abilities kind of become honed and you can do things a bit more efficiently. That's as good a guess I have at the moment. Like I said, since I couldn't control, or I didn't notice what was allowing me to build the gauge or control that aspect of the game, I couldn't test it out as much as I wanted to. I also enjoy the music a lot too. It's very nice. Now, one observation that I did make, and I hate to say anything negative in the most part because I love the game so much, the quick time events, it seems to happen with every monster unless you're strong enough to beat them quickly without the quick time event. For the most part, you seem to be doing the quick time events often. And I mean, for how often it happened just in the demo alone, I can only imagine that in the actual game to be doing it that much, for some people, might get really annoying. So it's just something to think about while you're playing. I would imagine the best way to remedy that is to just keep fighting the monster. Like, don't do the quick time event, just keep smacking them. And you know, you won't have to see it as often.
それにしてもすごい場所だな。
街が上にあったり下にあったり、子供の頃に行った遊園地の VR みたい。
そこはもともと渡月への中継拠点だった衛星都市だ。もっとも5年ぐらい前に怪異の襲撃で都市機能が麻痺しちまってな。このありさまだよ。
渡月って渡月橋の拠点の町のことですよね。ちょっとカルトっぽい。
おっと、カルトなんて言っていいのかな。カゲロウはもともと渡月橋の伝道者で神職だったんだぜ。
え、あの人が神職？
おーい、聞こえてるぞ。生徒招待のグループトーク使ってるの忘れんなよ。
ごめんなさい。
まあしゃあないわな。気にするなよ。親が信者だったから自然と神職になっただけで、教えには全く。
今じゃ聞く。
何ですか、あのドローンは。
くそ、ジャミングしといたのにもうバレた。隊長、カラスです。もう鍵つけて。
空にある街のビジョン。投影装置の故障かな。綺麗だけどなんだか怖いね。
ああ、なんていうか圧倒されるな。
渡月橋の神職って何をするの？
おや、花火ちゃんは俺に興味ある。
まさか単純に疑問を口にされて。
調子で行こ
釣れないね。まあ単に教えを広めるだけさ。死した魂は月へ帰ろうってね。
貸してくれ。そら、
うまく火をつけたな。
俺がやる。終わりだ。
ナイスハンター、分かってるね。
弱点発見。
よし。
Okay, so this is a good example to kind of explain what's going on. One of my characters, his ability is like an armor or something like that. And so this particular other that I'm facing does an attack that covers the ground. And I borrowed his power to give myself armor so that it wouldn't damage me. Just another example of how you utilize the characters on your team. And you can borrow the powers of all of the characters in your roster, but who's out on the field at the time, their abilities differ in how they interact with you. Like one thing I noticed, the gentleman whose power I'm borrowing, actually, he will, if you're about to take a hit, sometimes he will come in front of you and block the attack. And I know that that kind of stuff is what is different based on who's in your party at the time. It was just something that I saw actively as I was playing. And so that young boy's ability allows me to teleport through objects, or I guess become, what's that word? Intangible, I believe is the word. I don't know. So yeah, I can borrow his ability, and it's a good example because he's not currently on my team of 3. He's not actually actively in the party right now, but I can still borrow his abilities while he's on the back line. It looks like there's a lot of stuff going on the screen, but the more you play and the more comfortable you get with it, it really is. It's not that serious. I can definitely see how someone who's not familiar with these types of games, though, would be confused and kind of frustrated by how convoluted the screen is with everything that's going on. So yeah, I'm just exploring. I'm looking and seeing, what all you can do and how far you can go. So for it to be, a small linear area, they still have a lot of goodies, throughout the map. So you just got to be willing to look for them. Actually, speaking on that, what I realized was that I wasn't paying attention, but I had actually picked up another weapon for the main character at some point throughout my traversal. So I was pretty excited about that. And I'm glad that you get to use different weapons and stuff like that, and you actually can see them. That's nice. I don't know if that works for the other characters, but I know the main character, at least you get to see that. So that's nice. Matter of fact, now I think about it, if I remember correctly, did she have a new weapon? Maybe not. But the fact that you can see them and equip them, you probably can switch them. They probably do have other weapons for the other characters. In this game, the healing items seem to be called jelly. But I've played plenty of RPGs and they come up with all manner of names for healing items and things of that nature. It's really interesting. So what we have here is an enemy that can go invisible, and the young lady who's on our team with the black hair, yeah, she can make them visible. So under normal circumstances, you wouldn't be able to see them, but you can see them now.
相手に伝わっちゃうんじゃないかって。
大丈夫だろう。テレパシーとは違うんだし。ちなみに俺にも他人の考えてることまでは読み取れないからな。安心していいぜ。
借りるよつぐみ。
And for the folks who are concerned, there is perfect dodging in this game, and it is quite rewarding. I think it's kind of like you get a critical hit afterwards, and I did enjoy that once I had mastered that.
畳みかけるぞ。やったか。
僕の超能力を使えばこの先に進めそうですよ、ユイト。
来い。この調子で行こう。協力してくれ。
倒れたぞ。一気に攻めるんだ。
やっそら。まずいな。
大丈夫？
立て直そう。
Okay, so what you just heard, the auditory kind of siren blaring was my health getting low, and then the green numbers that popped up on the screen at the time was me using a healing item. If I remember correctly, I think you press down on the D-pad, it's either down or up to use them. I think you press down.
これでよし。
I think at this point I was trying to perfect my perfect dodging. Yeah, there you go.
弱点発見だな。
狙えるぞ。やったか。よ
いい攻撃だったぞ。
し。やっ。俺がやる。
次は
借りるよつぐみ。狙えるぞ。
決めてください。
I want to make a shout out to the dev team. When I use that ability clairvoyance that allows me to see the invisible enemies, I like the little touch they add where when you do your finishing moves, his eyes, you can see the ability active on his eyes. Small stuff like that always makes the game much more enjoyable. It just makes me appreciate the time and the detail, you know, the extra work they went, the extra mile that they went to make the game, you know, that much more authentic. It's wonderful.
ナギ、そっちは侵入禁止区域だ。すぐに戻ってこい。すみません。好奇心旺盛なもんで。
I think I was lost at this point. Just saying, I was trying to navigate on the map where to go, and I think I'd gotten turned around. It was either that or I was looking for items, but I'm pretty sure I got lost. And I was trying to figure out where exactly I needed to go. There is, of course, a map. Other than the mini-map, you don't have to just look at the mini-map. I could look at the bigger map. And I don't remember if it was this playthrough or some other playthrough. I did actually go consult the map because I was like, where am I? What's going on here? This might be it. Oh no, I was doing something else.
コツを教えましょうか。
Like I said, I like to pick up items. And this is the boss fight for the demo.
お、ゴール一番乗りはユイト班だな。
やったねユイト。
ああ。でもなんか変な音がしないか。
ユイトナイスだ。近くに怪異の反応がある。いや、待て。こいつは重大怪異だ。隊長、すぐに目的地点に重大怪異出現。
重大怪異って過去に海抜軍を殺してる怪異よね。
隊長。
他の班がたどり着くにはもう数分かかる。しんべ。
This was not the first time I played, so I definitely had skipped the cutscene. I apologize if I was listening to that. This kind of gives you an idea about how bigger boss fights take place and what's going on. So you can see there's a lot of stuff on the ground that I can throw. I also like how your team kind of splits up. The tactics they use are not as close knit to a degree, only minorly, but there are a lot of different techniques you can use while fighting. Of course, I believe that there's a general pathway to how to defeat the enemy, but you don't have to always take that. There are definitely in this, you know, small little combat area still many different ways that you can approach taking out your opponent. see the thing above my head. It's an indicator that I have a status effect. My thoughts on that, since this monster spews oil and its weakness is fire, you can expose it by breaking, I think, the canister on the top of its back and then burning it to do extra damage, but I think that also applies to you. I think certain status effects can happen to you, and depending on who you're fighting, you can take increased damage as well, which is, it's a nice little aspect, but I would say be very careful when you're fighting certain enemies.
うまく火をつけたな。
やったか。
So, that is Scarlet Nexus. Thank you for your time. This game comes out June 25th at midnight. I already pre-ordered mine. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There will be many more games coming soon. And be sure to check out my other Let's Plays. So yeah, without further ado, this has been the Warden, signing off.